After the discovery of the subatomic particle, now it was a need that these subatomic particles have to be rightly arranged and given a structure to an atom. Hence, there were many atomic models which were proposed based on the study done then. The first atomic model which was put up was J. Thomson's model of atom. Due to some of the demerits and the further study carried by Rutherford, the next model for an atom was put up by Rutherford. After this, Bohr put up his model of atom, and under our study, the last model of atom that we are going to study is quantum mechanical model of atom. Let us take up with our study. The first atomic model was proposed by J. Thomson, which is very well known as Thomson's model of atom. According to the postulates of Thomson's atomic model, an atom resembles a sphere of a positive charge with electrons present inside the sphere. The positive and the negative charge is equal in magnitude, and therefore an atom has no charge as a whole and is electrically neutral. Thomson's atomic model resembles a spherical plum pudding or that of a watermelon, and hence this atomic model is also very well known as Thomson's plum pudding model or that of watermelon model. In a plum pudding, the electrons in the model look like the dry fruits embedded in the sphere of a positive charge, just like a spherical plum pudding. And in the watermelon, the red edible part looks like the dispersed positive charge, and the black seed appear to be the electrons embedded in it. Thomson's atomic model was successfully able to satisfy the electrical neutrality of an atom because he mentioned specially about the equal magnitude of positive and the negative charge and hence an atom to be electrically neutral, but did not mention about the neutral particle presence, that is neutron. Hence, further many studies carried out, and these studies revealed that Thomson's model of an atom may not be the right model to give a structure to an atom. Many studies were carried out by then, and Rutherford gave the next model of atom based on the alpha particle scattering experiment.
Rutherford's nuclear model of atom. By 1911, the components of the atom had been discovered. The atom consisted of subatomic particles called protons and electrons. However, it was not clear how these protons and electrons were arranged within the atom. J. Thomson suggested the plum pudding model. In this model, the electrons and protons are uniformly mixed throughout the atom. For checking the Thomson's model, Rutherford and his students went on to do a famous experiment which brought out new dimensions of atom and its structure. Rutherford tested Thomson's hypotheses by devising his gold foil experiment. Rutherford reasoned that if Thomson's model was correct, then the mass of the atom was spread out throughout the atom. Then, if he shot high-velocity alpha particles, helium nuclei, at an atom, then there would be very little to deflect the alpha particles. He decided to test this with a thin film of gold atoms. As expected, most alpha particles went right through the gold foil. But to his amazement, a few alpha particles rebounded almost directly backwards. These deflections were not consistent with Thomson's model. Rutherford was forced to discard the plum pudding model and reasoned that the only way the alpha particles could be deflected backwards was if most of the mass in an atom was concentrated in a nucleus. He made the conclusion that the atom is 99.99% empty space. The nucleus contains a positive charge and most of the mass of the atom. The nucleus is approximately 1 lakh times smaller than the atom. He thus developed the planetary model of the atom, which put all the protons in the nucleus and the electrons orbited around the nucleus like planets around the sun.
This is a schematic representation of the alpha particle scattering experiment. This famous experiment was the base for Rutherford to put up his model of atom. The polonium sample over here was used as a source of alpha particles, and alpha particles were made to bombard on a very thin gold foil, and the deflection or the behavior of the alpha particle was studied in this particular experiment. Based on the various observations made during the alpha particle scattering experiment, further inferences were derived. Most of the alpha particle pass through the foil without getting deflected. That means most of the space inside an atom is empty. Some particles were deflected by small angles. This indicates that positive charge of an atom occupies very little space. 1 out of 12,000 particles rebound back. So that means they come back by 180 degree. This makes us infer that all the positive charge and the mass of the gold atom were concentrated in a very small volume within the atom. This is the picturesque representation of the expected result if the structure of the atom has to follow the Thomson's model of atom, and the next picture indicates the actual results. Based on the various observations made by Rutherford in alpha particle scattering experiment and the inferences derived from it, Rutherford then proposed the nuclear model of an atom. These are the postulates of this nuclear model of atom. The positive charge and the most of the mass of an atom was densely concentrated in extremely small region. This very small portion of the atom was called nucleus. The nucleus is surrounded by electrons that move around the nucleus with a very high speed in a circular path called orbits. Electrons and the nucleus are held together by electrostatic forces of attraction. Rutherford's model of an atom, thus proposed, appears like a planetary model of an atom, just like nucleus being the sun and electrons appeared to be like the planets revolving around it in fixed orbits.